Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. Today's webinar on how to plan seamless cloud migration for legacy system 2025. We are excited to have you with us. Our speaker today is Alkesh Patel, the founder and CEO of Rudram Engineering. Alkesh has over 20 years experience in cloud solutions and system engineering, having worked with the top companies like Raytheon, Rolls-Royce and GE. He helped businesses in various industries to modernize their technology to be more secure and scalable. Today, Alkesh will share like how to migrate legacy system to the cloud. And Alkesh, we would love to hear more about your experience and please take it from here. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. I'm fighting with little cold, so bear with me uh, if I have to cough in between. But thank you for joining today. I would like to share some best practices and what has worked for us. Just mainly sharing experience, right? I don't want this to be more academic. I want this to be more of a professional conversation that sharing experiences of what has worked and what challenges we have seen over the time. As far as the agenda is concerned, we'll talk about why going cloud. We'll talk about some challenges, step-by-step planning tools, technology, best practices, and perhaps time permits, we'll do some question answers. Uh, So always, time is money, they say. So when we talk about migration, updating from transitioning from legacy system to cloud, what it helps with the downtime. It saves you time. So basically, saving time earns value, earns money. So we'll discover today the navigating some architectures, reduction in downtime, and how we can be more cost effective in compliance with that. Um, as far as who we are and who you are listening to today, so we are a part of Rudram Engineering. We are a leading software systems engineering firm, over 30 years of experience. Our team combined has experience of over 75 years in various IT industry, that whether that be a commercial or a government, DoD. Our specialty is so-called IT modernization or digital transformation, where we provide cloud infrastructure, DevSecOps, agile methodologies. We are partnered with multiple organizations across the nation. And we are also trusted by big clients like Raytheon, NASA, L3Harris, and we are dedicated to bridge the gap between strategy and technology. So without further talk, why do cloud migration, right? Number one is improve efficiency. A lot of modern softwares or systems, they're designed to be more efficient, reduce the time and resource needed to perform tasks. Again, sharing experiences perspective, we had a client, they were using uh, older architecture of on-premise application servers, database servers, and they're trying to use the newer software, modern systems. Let's just, for simplicity, let's talk about M365 Microsoft packages, right? And they were having a lot of issues syncing with those. Even the Active Directory nowadays it has become a cloud. So Active Directory would have issue syncing on-premise versus with the cloud. So there's always somebody changes their password in the system. It will take 30 minutes before the eventual consistency of on-premise Active Directory and your cloud Active Directory. So even you just switch the password, it won't work on your system. Neither your old password will work. So that created a lot of downtime for the users, frustration, and additional support tickets, excuse me, for the users. So that's just the one reason I mentioned. It could be the amount of data, backups, automated security updates. A lot of these things does require IT services or IT service provider or on-premise staff to manage this. So the cloud migration provides that scalability, flexibility, reduce infrastructure cost, enhances security. Legacy system often lack the robust security features of modern technology. Let's talk about CMMC. Most of you are probably familiar with the CMMC standards that has been uh, being mandated in the industry nowadays. So it's very hard to implement these with the legacy system. With the cloud, their scalability and flexibility, these things are fairly easily manageable. All right. So we just talk about challenges, but along with that, one of the challenges you would see with legacy system is compatible gaps with the modern platforms. Also, there are also challenges on how to just convert legacy system to cloud infrastructure. It's it's just not flipping a switch, right? There it has to be planned. So there has to be a step-by-step migration plan. You have to first figure out what your inventories are or your assets are, whether if you have a big data center and you have a 10, 15, 20 data servers, few application servers, exchange servers, all those has to be inventoried, figured out their performance, their dependencies, and before upgrading anything or going to cloud, it has to be the compliance and support part, right? So we have to figure out what compliance we need to meet. Uh, so assessing that and thorough assessment of IT environment and future growth projections, I think that's extremely important. It's not what currently have, but a cloud migration may require you to do a future projection that says, okay, eventually we will need this. Because what you want to do is you want to plan for a long term that brings you a lot of cost savings and stability in that. And embrace the virtualization and cloud computing, right? Define your goals. What is the cost target, scalability needs? Utilize virtualization to create virtual machines, right? And that kind of helps you overall scalability stuff. So leverage infrastructures such as uh, platform as a services or meeting certain CMMC standards, or even working with the government or para-government agencies. We may need government cloud services in that case, and that may require some hybrid approach. So also come up with a strategy, right? How are you going to do that? You're going to refactor, you're going to re-platform. How are you going to do backup of everything before moving everything to the cloud? Just figure out what exactly you need and how you're going to continuously support the current users while you are going with this with the cloud scaling or cloud migration. Optimize your resource allocation. That's something you should definitely look into it. Just because you are taking everything to cloud doesn't mean you want to use you don't have a limitless resources, because those things definitely matter when it comes to that having these resources is also a cost. So optimize resource allocations, how you're going to use it when you are going to handle this. Also figure out, optimize your resource allocation, also leverage your cloud native services, executing phases, right, to reduce the risk. And first, you might want to take your on-premises applications to cloud, and then your Active Directory, then your data servers and other things, right? So slowly but surely make sure you have that lined up. Also, make sure that while you are going through this migration, the appropriate people, the stakeholders are being trained, equip them with the skills and knowledge they need to understand how this new system is going to work. That helps you manage modern infrastructure, right? Particularly training with the new technologies, best practices, and security protocols are required. If I remember correctly, when the two-factor authentication system came, a lot of people hated that. But that's why you need to educate them, train them, the need for why two-factor authentication is required and how it helps from security perspective. I think that's extremely important. Let's talk about tools and technology. And Rudram is a Microsoft certified partner, but we do use other services like Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud. But here I'm just putting it out as all the tools and technology that's available and that my team has used over and over and with a lot of success. So from a migration perspective, there are a migration hub, Azure Migrate, Google Migrate. Monitoring perspective, there's a CloudWatch. Azure provides a really good monitoring. I would say uh, out of all these three tools, Azure probably has the best tools available from a monitoring and data transfer perspective. Okay, so from automation, there are tools like that available. Also, implementing security best practices, you may need a policy to create that requires identity and access management policy. Perhaps some data may require some type of encryption. What are your regular audit schedules? Because those are required. And in the audience, if you are familiar with CMMC standards, it's just not what tools or technology or the controls you have in place. Is what happens when the control fails or what happens in time of crisis, how you mitigate those. All of those defines your security posture. And I think that's extremely important to consider when you are looking at the cloud migration in that case. What's your continuous monitoring and what's your regular audit monitoring, those things, logging, alerts, regular updates, all those things needs to be looked at in your tools and technology uses, right? How you're going to handle those situations. So I think those things are, excuse me, extremely important. Best practices, right? So how do you say best practices? Like just a couple of minutes ago, I gave an example about going to two-factor authentication system and how a lot of people didn't like it because it takes additional time to log into your account. But talking about getting the buy-in from everybody. So whether you are implementing this internally at your company or you are doing it for your client, just like Rudram does, make sure that they understand, your stakeholders understand that they have a buy-in. They have a buy-in into your security things. They have buy-in to going to cloud, right? Avoid rushing, plan thoroughly. That means, as I mentioned earlier, that make sure you are doing your background check with what you have on task. You come up with a plan. You come up with a realistic timeline, and sometimes you might want to use a hybrid models for a smoother transition. We recently did a project for a big city in Florida, and over the last 3 years, how we migrated over 5,000 users to cloud, their data center reduction. Basically, they had around 46 data servers to hosting their data from God knows how many years at this point. So all of that going to cloud, it reduced their data center footprint by 80%. So that's a huge cost saving for them over time. Plus everything is automated, backed up. So there's a lot of data security that comes with it. Microsoft, and there are other tools out there too, Power Apps. So Microsoft Power Apps or other tools like Appian, Box and Mintex. There are a lot of workflow define workflow automation tools are available out there. See what processes you can automate. That will definitely speed up the overall processes, or it will reduce the human error in those repetitive processes. Excuse me. Make sure our team is trained. So training has to be a crucial part of this engagement, of this migration, whether you're training uh, company IT users or the day-to-day users, but they need to understand, foster a culture of innovation, right? By training them. So they encourage them to, how they feel empowered by using this new system, how it can lead to development of new time savings and keep their business ahead of the curve. I think that's extremely important. So this is like an overview of a cloud migration journey, where, as I mentioned, I'll kind of quickly go through this, that assessing your current legacy system, define strategy, which cloud model you want to go, do a small test, small pilot and test, so that way you see some initial success, or get your kinks worked out. Um, think about full migration execution, put a timeline together, optimize and scale. I think that if you follow these 5 high-level steps, it will definitely take you to the next level. It helps you set up the sustainable practices, adopt an environmentally sustainable practice to meet regulatory requirement, to increase your ecosystem, right? So all being said, I think when we talk about things, uh, cloud migration is not a rocket science. Absolutely is. It's a technologically savvy savvy tasking. However, with focusing with the right scope, plan, and a strategy, it can be fun. It can be compliant, and it can lead into a lot of cost savings and less frustration with that. So that being said, we have shared a lot of information. If you have any questions, concerns, happy to answer that in your chat. If you want to reach out to us post this, happy to answer any questions. Our email address is info@rudramengineering.com, or you can just call us and reach out to us. We're happy to help. As a part of Rudram Engineering, we have a tremendous team. We have done a lot of government contracting, working with Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Air Force. We have helped them meet their digitalization goals. We have helped them taking their cybersecurity, their day-to-day uses to the next level. You don't have to navigate this alone, right? We are here to help. Whether you just want to ask us some questions or you need our services, we are happy to help. Any questions?
I was wondering, how do you manage, let's say if I have data that's like 10 years old, right? And we only use it maybe the last 2 years of the data. What do you do with the last 8 years of data? Do you still upload that and just kind of store it in the cold storage area, or kind of an archivable area in Azure or AWS? How do you kind of manage that older data?
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about that. Maybe I should have covered that earlier, that about the data storage, right? So when I talk about the data storage policy or strategy that you want to define, um, just purely from a cost saving perspective, and how you want to archive data. For example, Microsoft provides this great services called blob storage, right? So blob storage is a really low cost storage. The only thing with the blob storage is the data access is little slow. So Microsoft calls it hot storage, warm or cold storage, right? So hot storage is readily available. It costs you more to access your data, but it's very fast. Similarly, hot cold is there. You may see a little slow accessing data, but it is available. But when you put in a blob storage, you can literally get terabytes of space on a blob storage for a few dollars a month. And we do sell a software in another market. It's a SaaS application that we sell. All our customer data after 2 years, because we have a requirement of keeping data for 14 years in that industry. So all our customer data after 2 years, we store it in a blob storage as a long-term storage. And you can do backup on blob too. So your data is periodically backed up, and they are kept pretty secure over there. Hope I answered your questions. So here's our contact information. Thank you for your time, guys. Feel free to reach out to us later on if you have questions, concerns. We are happy to help. I think we are at the 30-minute mark, and that's the scheduled time. So thanks for everyone's time. I think we should go ahead and conclude.
Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, everyone.